Okay, so today we're taking a deep dive into something intensely personal.
Oh, yeah.
Elliot Page's memoir, Pageboy.
Okay.
I mean, the excerpts you sent over, wow.
Yeah.
Just raw and honest.
It's really something.
You really feel like you're getting a glimpse
Uh-huh.
into the person behind the celebrity,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. And what's so fascinating is how closely tied his personal journey is
Yeah.
to his acting career,
Right.
which, as you know, began when he was really young.
Oh, yeah, for
So
sure.
the memoir explores how he navigated this complicated world,
Mhm.
the world of fame, while also coming to terms with his identity,
Yeah.
often feeling enormous pressure to hide who he truly was.
And it is striking how early that passion for acting emerges.
Isn't it?
Growing up in Canada.
Right.
He was already drawn to this world of creativity and expression.
Yeah.
But there's this one story, though,
Okay.
about his mom taking him to buy girl clothes
Oh, wow.
for a Sweet 16 party.
Yeah.
Really stuck with me.
Yeah.
This pressure to conform, even at that age.
It makes you wonder how those early acting roles might have impacted his sense of self. On the one hand, acting, it can be an escape, a way to explore different identities.
Right, yeah.
But then on the other hand, it can reinforce these societal expectations.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially for someone so young, still figuring themselves out.
Totally. Like,
Or-
acting gave this temporary freedom.
Yeah.
But the real world, with all its judgments, it's always waiting.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Juno happens.
Right.
And he's catapulted to this whole new level of fame.
Huge. And what's striking is how the memoir suggests this huge success
Yeah.
coincided with even more pressure from the industry
Wow.
to hide his sexuality.
Really?
Yeah. There are stories about publicists and industry people explicitly telling him to keep quiet.
Oh, wow.
You can only imagine the weight of that,
Yeah.
especially so young.
It makes you think about how much courage it must have taken.
I know.
Just to consider coming out in that kind of environment.
Right.
And it makes those moments where he talks about struggling, right?
Mm-hmm.
With depression and panic attacks during that time, even more poignant.
Absolutely. You can't ignore the potential link
Yeah.
between that pressure to conform and the impact on his mental health.
Right.
I mean, this was a time when he was living with this unacknowledged identity, constantly in the public eye.
Yeah,
It's a recipe for internal conflict and distress, wouldn't you say?
definitely. And he even names publications
Oh, really?
like Michael MTO and Frank Magazine
Wow.
that just relentlessly speculated about his sexuality. It's just hard to imagine what that does.
I know.
That invasive media attention to someone's privacy and well-being.
It speaks to a larger issue of how the media treats queer individuals,
Yeah.
especially those in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
It's this constant scrutiny and pressure to label people,
Gosh.
categorize them,
Right.
often completely ignoring. Yeah.
A person's own self-discovery.
It feels dehumanizing,
It is.
but it's not all negative.
Oh, good.
He does talk about his relationships
Oh, okay.
and portrays them as a source of both strength
Okay.
and struggle.
Interesting.
Like Paula, Vipka, and Marin,
Mhm.
who played big roles
Yeah.
in his life.
What I find insightful is how he really breaks down those relationships.
Uh-huh.
For instance, with Paula,
Mm.
his first love.
Right.
He describes the challenges of being in a same-sex relationship
Yeah.
while also dealing with internalized and external homophobia.
It's a lot.
A lot to unpack there.
He even says they debate who was closeting who the most,
Wow.
which
Yeah.
really highlights how complex their situation was.
It does.
And he doesn't shy away from sharing the more intimate details either,
Oh, really?
describing those early days sneaking around, adventurous sex in hidden places.
That stood out to me, too.
Yeah.
It's almost like this subconscious desire for exposure, you know?
Mhm.
This risky way of pushing against the restrictions he felt.
Yeah.
Like a part of him wanted to be seen, even if it meant getting caught.
He uses this great analogy,
Okay.
feeling like he was in witness protection during that time.
Yeah.
It perfectly captures that feeling of hiding,
It does.
and constantly being on guard.
Exactly. And if we connect that to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
it speaks to a basic human need for authenticity.
Right.
That pressure to conform can lead to feelings of isolation, anxiety, even self-destructive behaviors like we see with his struggles with mental health.
He is so open about them.
Is he?
Describing his experiences with anxiety, depression, and even an eating disorder.
Oh, wow.
It's a stark reminder that behind the fame and success, there can be this deep pain, right?
Right.
And vulnerability.
It really raises those questions about the connection between societal pressure, internalized homophobia, and mental well-being. He makes this really striking comparison, actually. Comparing his body to Nazi experiments.
Wow.
Which speaks to the shame, right?
Yeah.
And self-loathing he felt.
Yeah. He doesn't just tell us about it, though.
No.
He shows us. He talks about working on an American crime.
Right.
Playing this character who snarved.
Yeah.
And how that role let him lean into his own desire to disappear, to punish himself.
It's heavy stuff.
It is. And it challenges us to think about the ways we cope with internalized pain, especially when it's tied to what society expects of us.
He even talks about feeling like he was competing almost with the real suffering of the character, as if his own pain wasn't valid enough.
Wow. There's this recurring theme of self-sabotage, too. He talks about getting involved in relationships where they were fundamentally incompatible.
Right.
Or making self-deprecating comments, even when things were seemingly going well. It points to this pattern, seeking validation, but at the same time pushing it away.
Interesting.
It's like he couldn't embrace happiness or success because it felt wrong, with the identity he was suppressing.
And then there's this pivotal moment with his friend Star, who asks him directly, "Do you think you're trans?"
Oh. Wow.
And it's like a lightning bolt. This hot tsunami of emotion.
He still couldn't face it, though, right?
Not fully.
This feels like a turning point, though.
Yeah.
Where that seed of self-awareness was planted.
Yeah.
But the fear, the societal conditioning, the potential backlash he saw others face, too powerful to overcome at that point.
He talks about this constant feeling of pleading for people to believe him.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Really says a lot about the lack of understanding and empathy trans people encounter.
He shares an example of this priest on a plane handing him a note saying his soul was struggling.
Oh, wow.
That he needed to be saved by the Heavenly Father.
That's a lot.
It shows how judgment and hostility can come from anywhere.
It does.
He even felt he had to choose.
Choose what?
Between his career and his authenticity.
Wow.
Fearing that coming out as trans would risk everything,
That's a real dilemma for many trans people.
Right.
To weigh those risks against the need to live authentically.
It's a heavy burden.
It is. It's clear he was living a double life for a long time. Trying to balance, his public persona with his true self.
He talks about having shingles while filming Inception.
Oh, wow.
Which he attributes to the stress of not belonging, in a cast full of cis men.
Right.
Like his body was physically manifesting the emotional turmoil that he couldn't express.
And what's interesting is how he talks about these microaggressions, these hurtful comments, not just from strangers, from people he knew, friends even.
Yeah.
They seem small, but they reveal this insidious transphobia, even in supposedly progressive circles.
He gives examples.
Like what?
Like someone saying, "You look adorable," after his top surgery. Or a friend saying, "Wow, one of my best friends is trans."
Yeah.
But in this way, that sounded more surprised than supportive.
Right. It highlights how even well-meaning people can perpetuate harmful stereotypes.
Totally.
And focus on their own reactions instead of really listening and respecting the trans person's experience.
There's this persistent focus on his body, too.
Yeah.
And medical choices. Like he has to constantly justify himself to a world that doesn't understand.
He talks about being asked about the other surgery over and over as if his transition wasn't complete.
Right.
Without conforming to this specific set of procedures.
It speaks to this broader issue of how trans bodies are just subjected to this level of scrutiny.
I know.
And judgment.
Right.
That cisgender people rarely face.
It's this obsession with defining and categorizing.
Right.
Which ultimately dehumanizes the individual.
There is so much here.
I know.
And I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
We are, but these excerpts offer such incredible insight.
Yeah.
Into the complexity of gender identity, the impact of societal expectations, and the importance of finding your voice. It's obvious from these excerpts, right, that he was struggling with all this. Internal and external pressure.
For so long.
For a long time. Yeah, this pull towards being himself, but that fear, though,
huge,
of the consequences.
Immense.
But it seems like the need to be true to himself became stronger, you know?
He says it so well.
Yeah.
I'd rather feel pain while living than hiding.
Powerful.
It's like gets to the heart of it.
It does.
The human spirit, you know? Growth and resilience, even when facing tough choices.
It's like he hit that point.
Yeah.
Where denying who he was was more painful than the potential fallout of embracing it.
Right.
And that's inspiring.
It is.
Choosing that path toward authenticity.
He talks about coming out as gay in 2014.
Oh, okay.
And it's like this weight lifted.
Yeah.
A bag of bricks had been left behind.
This is.
But there was still this deeper layer that he hadn't revealed yet.
It's like one step forward, but further to go.
Yeah.
His journey wasn't a straight line.
No.
He describes these times of progress, then setbacks.
Yeah.
Like testing the waters. Getting close to the truth, then pulling back.
Out of fear or maybe uncertainty.
Right. A lot of people can relate to that, I think.
He talks about living with a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And even then, in that environment, the dysphoria got worse.
It shows that coming out as gay doesn't just solve everything.
Yeah. Right. When it comes to gender identity. It's important to remember.
Yeah.
Sexuality and gender identity are separate.
Right.
They can be connected, though.
Yeah.
And for him, there was this growing awareness that his discomfort was more than just sexuality.
Yeah.
It was rooted in his sense of gender.
He has this vivid description of being alone in a cabin.
Okay.
In the woods.
Yeah.
Finally confronting his feelings.
That's powerful.
He says his mind was unclouded.
Yeah.
He could sense the truth.
But
he was still too frightened to turn.
Wow.
To face it.
That image, right? The cabin, nature all around. It speaks to that need for solitude, introspection.
Yeah.
When you're facing those big questions.
Of identity.
But even with that clarity, the fear was real.
Oh, yeah. He even says he felt like he was going crazy.
Oh, wow.
Questioning why he couldn't just be comfortable.
It's such a raw, honest look.
At what so many trans people go through.
It challenges the idea.
Yeah.
That transitioning is a choice.
Right.
Like a whim.
He wasn't looking for attention.
No.
Or trying to make a statement.
He was trying to deal with this deep sense of discomfort.
Right.
The mismatch.
Yeah.
Between his inner self.
Right.
And his body.
It underscores how important it is to recognize and validate the experiences of trans people.
Absolutely.
These aren't just feelings or phases.
Right.
They're real, and they can have a huge impact on someone's mental and emotional well-being.
He goes on to share this really disturbing moment where he describes punching himself in the face out of frustration and self-hatred.
It's tough to read, but it shows the depth of his pain.
And desperation.
What's striking is that this seems to be a turning point.
Oh, how so?
He describes it as hitting a breaking point.
Like his body forcing him.
Yeah.
To confront the truth.
The truth he'd been suppressing.
It's like the physical pain.
Yeah.
Became this catalyst for an emotional release.
He talks about finally hearing this voice.
Yeah.
Saying, you don't have to feel this way.
That's powerful.
It is. It's this moment of self-acceptance. A decision to choose authenticity.
It's empowering, isn't it?
It is. For anyone struggling with their identity.
Yeah.
We can choose self-love, embrace who we are.
Even if it means going against what society expects.
Or our own fears.
He describes making the decision to have top surgery.
Okay.
And how it felt like there was no more room for second guessing.
It was decisive.
Yeah.
Taking control.
Right.
Aligning his body with his sense of self.
He emphasizes that lack of hesitation.
Yeah.
Doubt.
Once he decided...
It wasn't impulsive, though, right?
No. It was carefully considered, a choice that brought him relief.
And congruence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He talks about the lead up to the surgery, the challenges of recovery,
right?
The immense joy and freedom afterwards.
He even describes having a mini fashion show.
Oh.
With all these button-down shirts he'd bought. Oh. Admiring his profile in the mirror.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
This image of self-love and acceptance.
It shows the power of gender-affirming care.
Absolutely.
For trans people.
To finally feel comfortable.
Yeah.
At home in your own skin.
It's profound.
It is.
He says he could walk through the world in his own newfangled universe, feeling this ease and authenticity.
That he hadn't before.
It's like he finally shed those layers.
Yeah.
Of self-doubt, concealment.
That he'd been carrying for so long.
But even with this new freedom,
yeah,
he talks about facing new challenges.
Like what?
How people reacted to his transition.
That's where you see how ingrained transphobia is.
Yeah.
Even in, seemingly progressive circles.
He mentions these subtle but hurtful comments. Friends, people he knew.
He talks about remarks about his voice.
Yeah.
His appearance.
Or invasive questions about his medical choices.
Right. It's that constant scrutiny. Judgment.
It's like people think they have a right to comment.
Yeah.
On his body, his transition.
Like it's their business.
Like it's a spectacle.
Instead of a personal journey.
He also mentions being more aware of his safety.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in public.
It speaks to the real dangers trans people face in a world where transphobia is fueled by misinformation and hate.
It's a reminder that even with more visibility, more acceptance, we have a long way to go.
Societal understanding.
Right.
Creating a truly safe space for trans people.
He's so vulnerable and honest about it.
It's powerful.
Yeah. It reminds us that even with progress, there's still work to do.
Challenging transphobia or fostering real acceptance.
It's clear he's found peace, happiness.
Yeah.
That he didn't have before.
It's evident, though. The journey has had its bumps.
Obstacles.
Exactly. And that's true for a lot of trans people. It's not always easy.
No.
But that pursuit of authenticity, self-love, it's courageous, inspiring.
It is.
It reminds us we all have a role to play.
In creating a more inclusive world.
A more compassionate world.
It really makes you think,
Yeah.
And one thing that struck me is the role creativity plays in his journey. He talks about writing this screenplay.
Oh, yeah.
With a friend.
Right.
Beatrice Brown. And how it helped him reconnect with this part of himself that had been kind of dormant,
That's interesting.
Like for him, it seems.
Yeah.
Creativity is both an escape and a way to express himself.
I can see that.
It lets him tap into his imagination.
Yeah.
Explore different sides of himself.
It's like self-discovery through art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he also finds comfort in nature.
Oh, of course.
He talks about being surrounded by trees.
Yeah.
The sounds of the forest.
It's peaceful.
Yeah.
Grounding.
It brought him peace.
That resonates with a lot of people, don't you think?
I think so, yeah.
It's like disconnecting from all the noise and pressure.
Right.
Finding those spaces where you can truly connect with yourself.
He also rediscovers this love for music.
Oh, really?
He mentions listening to Brian Eno.
Okay.
Sleater-Kinney.
Interesting.
He describes how those sounds helped him, process his emotions.
Yeah.
Connect with his inner world,
It's a reminder that art, in all its forms, can be so healing.
Absolutely.
Transformative.
It can give voice to those emotions that are hard to put into words.
Provide a path for self-exploration and understanding.
Toward the end of the excerpts you shared,
he
talks about his friendship with Marin Ireland. His co-star from the Umbrella Academy.
Right.
She was there for him.
Good.
During a really difficult time.
It really shows the importance
Yeah.
of having that support system.
People who see you, accept you.
Exactly.
Those relationships can be so important.
Lifelines, really.
Especially during those personal, challenging times.
Absolutely.
He also reconnects with a friend.
Oh.
From childhood, Nikki. And finds comfort in those shared experiences.
I see. It's like coming full circle.
Yeah.
Finding comfort in those who've known you.
For so long.
Yeah.
And witnessed how you've changed, grown.
It's grounding.
Yeah.
Affirming.
To know that Even as we evolve,
Yeah.
there are parts of us that stay the same.
And those connections.
Right.
It can give you a sense of belonging, you know?
Definitely. Elliot Page's memoir is powerful, moving.
It explores identity.
Resilience.
The courage to live authentically.
It will resonate with anyone who's ever felt like they don't belong.
Right.
Or struggled to embrace who they truly are.
His honesty, his vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
It reminds us that we're all on this journey.
Of self-discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that the path to authenticity,
right.
It's challenging.
It can be.
But ultimately, it's worth it.
Absolutely.
It leaves us with so much to think about.
Doesn't it?
Both in terms of our own journeys and our role in creating a more inclusive, compassionate world.
Pageboy is a testament to self-love.
Yeah.
The importance of finding your voice.
And the power of living in alignment with who you truly are.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.